to the new Japanese module they helped install. Here this afternoon to give us an update on all these activities is ISS Flight Director Ginger Kerrick. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So the JLP was successfully installed this morning after the spacewalk ended. Have the ground teams been doing any work on that since then?
Actually, the only work that the ground teams have been doing are preparing for the JLP activities for future days. We were done with our Flight Day 4 activities, but the crew, right after they finished the installation, prepared to pressurize the vestibule area, which is the volume in between Node 2 and the JLP, and that was successful. So they opened up the Node 2 hatch, and that was the config we left it in. The JLP hatch is still closed.
Okay, and the crew's scheduled to open it later tonight, is that correct?
That is correct. As soon as the crew wakes up, they're going to start configuring the vestibule area, and some of the things that they need to do are to remove all of the hardware that is just there to help establish the connection for mating the JLP to Node 2, so they'll take all of that hardware out of the way. And then they will also make some connections to establish airflow between JLP and Node 2, as well as provide some temporary data and power connections, because if folks remember, the JLP is not intended to stay on the Node 2 overhead port. It was just a temporary setup, but ground teams had worked out a plan to provide temporary power and data connectivity at that port.
Okay. Then after the spacewalk, the ground tried fixing the problems with the special purpose dexterous manipulator with a software patch, but they didn't have any luck with that. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. In fact, the software patch did not work, but to be perfectly honest, we were not surprised by this. Yesterday when I reported to you that was one of the options that we were pursuing, teams continued to look at the data, and their latest theory was that it's not a problem with the SPDM at all. It is a problem with the pallet on which it sits, and specifically a cabling issue that doesn't allow the data to flow appropriately. So we fully expect that if we apply power from the SSRMS side, that we will be able to power up SPDM and have connectivity with it. And in fact, that is what we are planning to do later this evening.
They're going to be grappling the SPDM with the station arm?
Yes. First, the station arm has to hand off the OBSS to the shuttle arm first thing in the morning, and as soon as that is complete and the station arm is free, the crew will maneuver the station arm over to the SPDM and grapple it. When grapple is complete, the ground team will retry a power-up of the SPDM, and we fully expect that to work.
Great. Well, if that does work, will having Dexter attached to the station arm have any effect on the rest of the activities planned for the mission?
For EVA2, no. And one thing to point out, we don't have to have it attached there all the time. So we will test it out. We will leave it there in an overnight config. And then on the morning of EVA2, we will release it and free up the arm to support the EVA2 activities. At the end of EVA2, we will re-grapple it for thermal reasons so that we can keep some of the components within their temperature limits overnight. And then EVA3, we may have some deltas too, but the teams are just starting to look at that.
Okay, so it's only going to be on the station, station arm kind of on and off for a while.
Yes, until we finally relocate it to its permanent home, well, permanent for this mission on the lab.
Okay, well, anything else we should know about?
For the SPDM or JLP, no. Everything else is going quite smoothly. I've been really impressed by the team's response to all the little hiccups that we're seeing, and looking forward to a great flight day this evening.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Ginger. Again, that's Station Flight Director Ginger Kerrick. That was a replay of an interview earlier with ISS Flight Director Ginger Kerrick. The troubleshooting, you heard her talking